It was December 31st, 1812. In the stillness of night, a ship named the Patriot quietly left the port of Georgetown, South Carolina, carrying on board one of America's most beautiful women, South Carolina's First Lady, Theodosia Burr Alston. She was the daughter of the infamous Aaron Burr, former vice president and the man who had ended Alexander Hamilton in a duel. Theodosia was on her way to New York to meet her father. But after that day, she was never seen again. Theodosia was brilliant, one of the most educated women in America at the time. Aaron Burr adored her, and thus made sure she had an education that rivaled the finest available to men. In a world where women were rarely given such opportunities, she was like a rare gem. She spoke multiple languages, including Greek and Latin, studied philosophy, mastered subjects like music and arithmetic, and could talk freely with the intellectual giants of the era. She was named after her mother, Theodosia Bartow Prevost. Aaron Burr lost his beloved wife when Theodosia was only 10 years old. After that, she took on the role of her father's confidant, standing by him through his career and later his downfall. They had a very warm relationship. Theodosia saw her father as a protector and her best friend. But then, the Hamilton scandal struck. Burr had been tried for treason in 1807. Though he was acquitted, the accusations were so damaging to his reputation that he had to flee to Europe. This left Theodosia devastated. She remained in the U.S., holding her family together. But it wasn't long before another tragedy struck again. Theodosia's 10-year-old son passed away from malaria, leaving her grief-stricken and physically weak. She was only 29 at the time. When Burr finally returned to America in 1812, he begged Theodosia to come see him in New York. She was determined to see her dear father again, no matter the risks. She believed that only their reunion would bring her comfort. Things weren't going smoothly between Great Britain and the U.S., which recently became independent. Her husband, Joseph Alston, who had just become the governor of South Carolina, couldn't accompany her. This deeply worried him. The journey ahead promised to be dangerous. The British Navy, patrolling the coast, could stop any American vessel. Alston even wrote a letter to them, asking for the Patriot to be granted safe passage through the Atlantic. It wasn't only the British Navy that endangered her voyage. The winter seas were unpredictable, and the Atlantic waters were notoriously treacherous, frequently lashed by violent storms. Meanwhile, Aaron Burr arranged for his friend, Dr. Timothy Green, to accompany her on the journey, hoping to protect her from any harm. So, reluctantly, Alston sent his wife on her way aboard the Patriot, a fast, sleek vessel chosen for its reputation of speed and safety. Theodosia said her goodbyes and went on what would become a journey into oblivion. Days passed, then weeks. The journey should have taken a week at most, but there was no word from Theodosia or the crew. A gale had been reported off Cape Hatteras at the beginning of January. They said that a violent storm scattered ships across the coast. Alston, growing increasingly desperate, wrote, "The state of my mind is dreadful." But no news came. Both Aaron Burr and Alston were clinging to hope that perhaps a storm had simply delayed her arrival. But as weeks turned into months, hope began to slip away. Everything hinted that the Patriot had been lost at sea with all the people on it. For Joseph Alston and Aaron Burr himself, the answer was tragically clear. They believed the ship had been caught in a winter storm and sunk, but others weren't so sure. Rumors and theories started growing. They spread in newspapers and taverns. Could it have been the pirates? They had been tormenting the Carolina coast for years now. There were also locals called bankers or wreckers, scavengers infamous for looting ships. They would steal items from the graveyard of the Atlantic, North Carolina's coast. On top of that, they caused some wreckage themselves. They used lanterns to lure ships into dangerous waters, causing them to run aground. Once stranded, they'd loot the ships, leaving the crew and passengers behind. Some believe these ruthless scavengers might have stripped the Patriot of its remains. Aaron Burr didn't believe that she was captured by the pirates. According to him, were she still alive, all the prisons in the world could not keep her from her father. The rumors were getting wild. Some claimed that she had been captured in the Bermuda Triangle. Searchers were sent to Nassau and the Bahamas, but no trace of the Patriot was ever found. There was even a story about her getting whisked away to distant shores in Galveston, Texas, where someone insisted she passed away and was buried in anonymity. People said that her ghost now haunted the Outer Banks of North Carolina, endlessly searching for her father. Some pirates even started to take credit for her disappearance. In 1820, two men on the brink of execution confessed to plundering and sinking the Patriot ship. And then, in 1833, another pirate told that his crew had found the ship, and they held her captive. He said she resisted fiercely and vividly described how he personally made Theodosia walk the plank. Historians have tried to piece together the clues. Ship's logs from the time showed that the Patriot indeed had been stopped by the British fleet near Cape Hatteras on January 2, 1813. But thanks to Alston's letter, the ship was allowed to pass, and it continued on its course. And yes, there really was a storm. It swept through the whole region in January. The storm hit especially strongly during these days, and though this is the most likely answer, it's not a 100% truth. People still speculate, but no one knows the truth. No one could find the ship. No body, no wreckage, and no definitive proof ever surfaced. Theodosia had vanished into legend, and for Aaron Burr, he never recovered from the grief of losing his daughter. And then, in 1869, 57 years later, something bizarre happened. Dr. William Poole, a physician from Elizabeth City, visited the Outer Banks town of Nags Head, North Carolina. It was a remote coastal town, small and simple. A local elderly woman was on her last breath. In her last moment, she handed her doctor a fine oil painting as payment. It was a portrait of a mysterious young woman, and, you guessed it, the portrait was of none other than Theodosia Burr Alston. This painting, according to the woman, had survived some shipwreck more than 50 years prior. Interestingly, the painting itself was unsigned and the woman unnamed. But the quiet grace and intelligence in her eyes immediately intrigued Dr. Poole. Suggesting that there might be something deeper here, he immediately went to the newspapers. The Burr family members and people who knew Theodosia were called to examine the portrait. They compared it to an engraving of Theodosia, and to everyone's astonishment, it really was her. But how had it ended up in the hands of this mysterious old woman? Was it stolen by pirates and passed down through generations? Of course, people were also wondering if this elderly woman was Theodosia herself. Maybe she had survived and lived out her days in hiding. It's very unlikely, but there's no way to confirm the truth. The painting itself was also a mystery. When was it created, and by whom? Most people assume that Theodosia ordered this portrait before her departure and took it on board with her. Maybe it was intended as a gift for her father after years of painful separation. But the painting's journey didn't end there. After it was identified, it eventually made its way to the Lewis Walpole Library at Yale University. It would remain there for years, only resurfacing in 2017 for a special exhibit in North Carolina's Museum of the Albemarle. This portrait was the last tangible piece of Theodosia's story, but even it raised more questions than answers, and the story is still a mystery to this day. That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.